Hello there, and welcome to the Sleep Porch. Tonight, we are turning our attention to a world so small and so familiar that most of us never notice it. But all around you, inside the soil, under stones, and inside trees, entire civilizations are quietly unfolding. Ants are not just simple insects. They are engineers and farmers, builders and healers, explorers and guides. They raise vast cities without written plans, engage in conflict without commanders, and solve challenges no single individual could ever comprehend alone. Their world moves to a rhythm far older than our own, one shaped by cooperation, patience, and unseen signals quietly flowing through the air. As you listen, you may begin to notice how strange and elegant this hidden society really is, how intelligence can exist without awareness, how order can emerge without control, and how some of the most advanced systems on Earth belong to creatures smaller than a grain of rice. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy, and let the quiet world of ants guide your imagination. Let's begin. Ants built the first cities long before humans ever existed. Ant societies began shaping complex living spaces tens of millions of years before the first humans appeared. An ant nest is not a simple burrow, but a structured system with separate chambers for nurseries, food storage, and waste. Many nests include ventilation shafts that regulate airflow and temperature, allowing colonies to survive heat, cold, and changing weather conditions. Some underground nests extend several meters below the surface and remain stable for years. What makes these structures remarkable is that they are built without planning or oversight. Each ant responds only to local cues, such as soil resistance, humidity, or chemical traces left by others. From these simple responses, large-scale architecture emerges. The final structure adapts to the environment it is built in, changing shape depending on soil type, moisture, and climate. These early cities did not arise from intelligence as we define it, but from repeated behavior refined by evolution. Long before humans learned to settle, ants had already mastered the art of permanent, climate-resilient urban living. Ants wage organized wars with strategy and territory control. Conflict between ant colonies is often highly structured. Many species defend clearly defined territories that include nesting sites and access to food. When these boundaries are challenged, colonies respond with coordinated aggression rather than random fighting. Scouts assess rival strength and location. Chemical signals recruit large numbers of workers when conflict escalates. In some species, ants form organized fronts, pushing against opponents in sustained engagements. These battles can last hours or days and may determine which colony controls valuable resources. The outcomes matter. Victorious colonies gain access to food and space, while defeated colonies may be forced to relocate or collapse entirely. Over time, territorial dominance shapes population distribution across entire landscapes. What makes our warfare notable is not its violence, but its structure. The behavior follows consistent patterns shaped by evolutionary pressures. Ants do not fight out of emotion, but out of necessity. Their conflicts reveal how competition alone can produce complex strategies without planning, leadership, or awareness of long-term consequences. Ant colonies can survive complete flooding by turning into living rafts. In flood-prone environments, some ants have evolved a remarkable collective response. When water rises rapidly, workers interlock their bodies, to form a floating mass that keeps the colony alive. This structure functions as a raft, with ants gripping one another tightly to maintain stability. The formation is organized. Vulnerable members, such as the queen and larvae, are kept toward the center, while workers on the outside repel water. Air trapped between bodies increases buoyancy and helps the raft remain afloat for extended periods. The raft is not static. Ants constantly adjust their positions to maintain balance and respond to currents. If part of the structure breaks, nearby ants reconnect to repair it. Once the raft reaches dry ground, the colony quickly reassembles into a functional nest. This behavior requires no rehearsal or command. Each ant follows simple physical and chemical cues, yet the result is a coordinated survival mechanism. It demonstrates how collective behavior can produce solutions to extreme environmental challenges without foresight or planning. Some ants keep other insects as permanent captive livestock. Certain ants maintain long-term relationships with sap-feeding insects, such as aphids. These insects produce sugary secretions as they feed on plants, which the ants consume as a reliable food source. In return, the ants protect them from predators and environmental threats. This relationship goes beyond passive exploitation. Ants actively manage their livestock by moving them to healthier plants, guarding them during feeding, and sheltering them when conditions worsen. Some ants even transport aphid eggs into their nests for protection during unfavorable seasons. The arrangement benefits the ants through a steady energy supply, but it often limits the freedom of the insects involved. The aphids become dependent on our protection and rarely survive without it in these systems. This behavior represents a form of resource management rather than hunting. By maintaining living food sources, ants reduce uncertainty and increase efficiency. The system mirrors basic principles of domestication achieved without tools, planning, or awareness, through evolutionary reinforcement of mutually dependent behaviors. Ants have invented multiple forms of slavery independently. In several ant lineages, colonies survive by stealing the young of other species. These stolen ants are raised inside the captor colony and perform essential tasks such as foraging, nest maintenance, and brood care. They behave as if the colony were their own. This occurs because ants identify nest mates through chemical cues rather than genetic recognition. Once an ant develops within a colony, it adopts that colony's chemical identity. As a result, captured individuals integrate seamlessly into their new environment. Some slave-making ants become so specialized that they lose the ability to feed themselves or care for their own young. Their survival becomes entirely dependent on continued raids. This creates an unstable but effective strategy that persists only as long as neighboring colonies exist to exploit. What makes this phenomenon striking is that it evolved independently in multiple ant groups. It reveals how social systems can be redirected toward exploitation when cooperation mechanisms are present. Ant slavery is not accidental behavior, but a recurring evolutionary outcome of complex social organization. A single ant colony can contain millions of specialized roles. Large ant colonies operate through extreme division of labor. Individuals differ in size, strength, age, and behavior, allowing tasks to be distributed efficiently. Some ants forage, others defend, some care for young, and others maintain the nest environment. In many species, physical differences are permanent. Soldiers may have oversized heads or jaws designed specifically for defense. Workers may be built for speed or endurance. These traits are not learned, but determined during development. Roles can also change over time. Younger ants often perform safer tasks inside the nest, while older ants take on riskier roles outside. This reduces the impact of losses on the colony's future. The result is a system that functions continuously, even as individuals die and are replaced. No single ant is essential, yet the structure persists. Millions of coordinated actions occur daily without confusion or oversight. The colony behaves as a stable, adaptive system whose complexity emerges entirely from specialization and repetition. Ants recognize friends and foes through invisible chemical signatures rather than sight or sound. Each ant carries a unique blend of chemicals on its outer surface, serving as a quiet identity code. This signature reflects the colony it belongs to, shaped by shared genetics, diet, and environment, allowing ants to move through their world with clarity and trust, guided by scent alone. When ants meet, they briefly touch antennae to sample these chemical cues. If the signature matches the colony's profile, the ant is accepted. If it does not, aggression can be immediate. This allows ants to distinguish nestmates from intruders with remarkable accuracy, even when species look identical. The system is so precise that ants raised in different colonies of the same species are often treated as enemies. This chemical recognition also adapts over time. As a colony's scent profile slowly shifts, its members adjust their expectations, maintaining cohesion without conscious awareness. The process is automatic, fast, and constant. What makes this fascinating is that identity in ants is not fixed at birth, but maintained through shared chemistry. Belonging is something continuously reinforced, not remembered, allowing colonies to remain unified even as thousands of individuals come and go. Ants were among the first animals to practice medicine. Some ant species actively treat injuries and disease within their colonies. When an ant is wounded, nestmates may clean the injury to reduce the risk of infection. This behavior is not random grooming, but targeted care directed at damaged tissue. In certain cases, ants supply antimicrobial substances produced by their own bodies or by symbiotic microbes. These chemicals inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria and fungi, increasing the injured ant's chances of survival. Ants can even adjust their response based on the severity of the wound, providing more intensive care when infection risk is high. Colonies also practice preventive measures. Sick individuals may be isolated, reducing the spread of disease. Waste and decaying material are removed from living areas to limit microbial growth. These actions collectively function as a form of public health management. What makes this remarkable is not intent, but outcome. Through simple behavioral rules shaped by evolution, ants reduce mortality and improve colony survival. Long before modern medicine, ants had already evolved effective strategies for wound care, sanitation, and disease control. Ant colonies can make collective decisions faster than computers. Ant colonies regularly face decisions, such as selecting new nest sites or reallocating labor. Remarkably, they often reach effective conclusions faster than centralized computing systems designed to solve similar problems. This speed comes from parallel processing rather than calculation. Multiple ants explore options simultaneously, gathering information independently. Each ant then communicates its assessment through behavior or chemical signals. Stronger signals represent better options, while weaker ones fade. Over time, consensus emerges as superior choices naturally dominate. No comparison or ranking is required. Poor options are simply abandoned as interest declines. This allows colonies to converge on effective solutions quickly, without evaluating every alternative exhaustively. Researchers have used these principles to inspire algorithms in robotics and network optimization. The ANT approach excels in uncertain environments where information is incomplete or changing. The key insight is that efficiency does not require precision. By distributing decision-making across many simple agents, ants achieve speed and reliability that rival engineered systems. Their method values adaptability over optimization, producing solutions that work well enough, fast enough, to ensure survival. Some ants farm crops with greater precision than early humans. Certain ant species rely entirely on cultivated fungus for food. These ants collect fresh plant material and bring it underground, not to eat directly, but to feed carefully maintained fungal gardens. The ants regulate humidity, temperature, and cleanliness within these chambers to keep the crop healthy. They actively manage their farms. Infected sections are removed before disease spreads. Older fungal growth is trimmed to encourage new production. Some ants even carry beneficial bacteria on their bodies that help suppress harmful microbes, acting as a biological form of pest control. This farming system is highly specialized. The fungus cannot survive without the ants, and the ants cannot survive without the fungus. Over time, both have evolved traits that reinforce this partnership. The ants have jaws suited for harvesting vegetation, while the fungus has adapted to grow efficiently under constant care. What makes this remarkable is not just that ants farm, but that they do so with consistency and precision. Their agricultural systems are stable, sustainable, and older than human farming by an immense margin. An ant colony is a living organism with no central brain. An ant colony functions less like a group of individuals and more like a single, distributed organism. No ant understands the full system it belongs to. Yet the colony as a whole can solve problems, respond to threats, and adapt to new conditions. This happens through local interactions rather than centralized control. Each ant follows a small set of rules based on chemical signals, physical contact, and environmental changes. When enough ants respond to the same signals, large-scale behavior emerges. Food routes appear, nests relocate, and defenses activate without any ant issuing commands. Decisions is spread across thousands or millions of tiny nervous systems. Researchers often describe this as collective intelligence. The colony remembers paths through reinforced chemical trails, prioritizes successful strategies, and abandons ineffective ones. In this way, learning exists at the group level rather than the individual level. This structure challenges the idea that intelligence requires a brain. In ants, cognition is not located in one place. It is distributed across interactions, turning the colony itself into the thinking unit. Certain ant queens can live longer than most mammals. Ant queens possess lifespans that are extreme when compared to their size. While worker ants may live only weeks or months, queens in some species can live for decades. This makes them among the longest-lived insects known and places them in the same longevity range as many mammals. Their extended lifespan is supported by a unique biology. After mating, a queen stores sperm internally and uses it gradually over many years to produce offspring. She remains protected deep within the nest, insulated from predators and environmental stress. Her body is optimized for reproduction and longevity rather than labor. Queens also age differently at the cellular level. They show reduced signs of oxidative damage and maintain stable metabolic activity over long periods. This allows a single individual to anchor the colony across many generations of workers. The result is continuity. A colony can persist as a stable entity because the queen remains alive, producing new workers as older ones die. In this way, the queen functions less like an individual animal and more like a living foundation for the entire society. Certain ants navigate using the polarization pattern of the sky. Some ants navigate environments that appear nearly featureless, such as deserts where landmarks are scarce and temperatures erase scent trails quickly. To solve this problem, certain species use the sky itself as a navigational tool. They sense patterns of polarized light, formed as sunlight scatters through the atmosphere. Though invisible to human eyes, these patterns create a steady celestial map that remains reliable even when the sun is partly hidden. Ants are equipped with specialized photoreceptors that allow them to read this subtle information, helping them keep their bearings as they travel far from the nest and find their way home with quiet precision. As an ant moves, it tracks both distance and direction, effectively integrating its path as it goes. This allows it to return home in a direct line rather than retracing its steps. The system functions reliably even in harsh conditions where other cues fail. This ability demonstrates that navigation does not require landmarks or memory in the human sense. By using physical properties of light itself, ants turn the sky into a compass, allowing precise movement across environments that would otherwise be impossible to traverse safely. Some ant species use fungus as an external digestive system. In certain ant species, digestion does not happen entirely inside the body. Instead, ants rely on cultivated fungus to break down tough plant material that would otherwise be indigestible. The ants supply raw material, and the fungus performs the chemical processing. Leaves and other vegetation are harvested and placed into fungal chambers, where enzymes break complex compounds into nutrients the ants can absorb. The ants then consume the fungus itself, which now contains accessible energy and essential nutrients. This arrangement allows ants to exploit food sources unavailable to many other animals. By outsourcing digestion, they bypass physiological limitations and expand their ecological niche. The fungus effectively acts as an external stomach, transforming unusable matter into fuel. The system is tightly regulated. Ants control what enters the fungal chambers and remove waste promptly to maintain efficiency. Over time, both ants and fungus have evolved to optimize this division of labor. This strategy demonstrates that digestion does not have to be confined within a body. Ants show that biological processes can be distributed across cooperative systems, turning an entire colony into a functional metabolic network. Ants communicate detailed information without making a sound. Ant communication relies almost entirely on chemical signals rather than sound. These signals convey detailed information about food location, danger, task urgency, and social status. A single chemical trail can encode direction, distance, and quality of a resource. Different compounds trigger different responses. Some attract workers, others signal alarm, and some suppress activity entirely. The concentration and combination of chemicals add further nuance, allowing ants to respond appropriately to changing conditions. This system is highly efficient. Chemical messages persist in the environment, allowing communication across time as well as space. An ant can respond to information left minutes or hours earlier without direct interaction. What makes this especially powerful is scalability, The same signals work whether a few ants are present or thousands. Communication strength naturally adjusts with participation. Ants demonstrate that complex information exchange does not require language or sound. By using chemistry as a medium, they create a shared information network embedded directly into their surroundings, turning the environment itself into a communication channel. Ants discovered agriculture tens of millions of years ago. The shift from foraging to farming represents one of the most important transitions in any species' history. Ants made this transition long before mammals became dominant on land. Fossil and genetic evidence suggests that ant agriculture began tens of millions of years ago and has persisted continuously ever since. Once ants began cultivating food, their societies changed. Colonies became more permanent. Labor became more specialized. Energy could be invested in defense, expansion, and reproduction, rather than constant searching for unpredictable resources. Farming allowed ants to buffer against environmental fluctuations. This agricultural lifestyle reshaped ant evolution. Certain species lost the ability to survive independently of their crops, while others developed physical traits specifically suited to cultivation. The success of these farming ants allowed them to spread widely and dominate many ecosystems. What is striking is how similar the consequences of agriculture are across species. Whether in ants or humans, farming creates surplus, stability, and complexity. Ants demonstrate that this transformation is not uniquely human, but a natural solution life arrives at when conditions allow long-term cooperation and resource control. Some ants use living bodies as tools and building materials. Certain ant species solve physical challenges by using other ants as structural components. When faced with gaps, unstable surfaces, or obstacles, workers may link together to form living chains or supports. These temporary structures allow others to cross spaces that would otherwise be inaccessible. Ants adjust their grip and position dynamically, responding to load and movement. If the structure weakens, nearby ants reinforce it automatically. Once the task is complete, the formation dissolves and the ants return to individual activity. This behavior allows colonies to overcome physical limitations without permanent construction. Bodies become flexible tools that can be assembled and disassembled as needed. No ant is designated as a tool. Participation emerges based on local conditions and demand. What is striking is the efficiency of this solution. Instead of modifying the environment, ants briefly modify themselves. The colony treats its own population as a resource that can be rearranged in real time, demonstrating a level of functional adaptability that few engineered systems can match. Ants can form bridges using their own bodies. When ants encounter gaps during foraging, some species respond by forming living bridges. Workers link together, anchoring themselves on both sides of a gap, while others walk across their bodies. The structure shortens travel distance and increases efficiency. These bridges are not fixed. As traffic increases or decreases, ants join or leave the formation, adjusting its length and thickness. This ensures that the cost of using bodies as infrastructure is balanced against the benefit of faster movement. Ants make these adjustments automatically. No signal instructs them to build or dismantle the bridge. Instead, each ant responds to pressure, contact, and movement, creating a structure that optimizes itself continuously. This behavior demonstrates decentralized engineering. The bridge exists only as long as it is useful. Once traffic slows, it disappears, freeing workers for other tasks. By forming bridges from living bodies, ants show how temporary infrastructure can emerge from simple interactions. The colony adapts its physical shape to the environment moment by moment, solving logistical problems without tools or planning. Certain ant species have evolved to explode on command. In some ant species, certain workers serve as living weapons. When threatened, these ants rupture specialized glands, releasing sticky or toxic substances, but incapacitate enemies. The act kills the ant, but protects the colony. This behavior is not accidental. The ants involved possess anatomical adaptations that allow their bodies to burst in a controlled way. The substances released can immobilize attackers or signal danger to nearby nestmates. Such self-sacrifice is favored by evolution because workers share close genetic ties with the colony. Protecting relatives increases the survival of shared genes, even at the cost of individual life. The existence of explosive ants illustrates how extreme specialization can become when survival depends on collective defense. These ants are not generalists. Their role is singular and final. This strategy challenges human notions of self-preservation. In the world of ants, an individual's value is defined entirely by its service to the colony. When the moment demands it, that service can even extend to the ultimate act of defense. Quietly, and often unseen, ants shape entire ecosystems far beyond what their size would suggest. Through their constant foraging, careful nest building, and tireless removal of waste, they move vast amounts of soil, nutrients, and organic matter, subtly rearranging the living landscape with patience and purpose. This activity alters soil structure, drainage, and fertility. By dispersing seeds, ants influence plant distribution and regeneration. Some plants rely heavily on ants to carry seeds away from parent plants, reducing competition and increasing survival rates. Ant predation also regulates populations of other insects. Their nests create microhabitats that support additional species. Nutrient-rich refuge piles become hotspots for microbial and plant growth. Over time, ant activity reshapes landscapes in subtle but lasting ways. What makes this influence remarkable is how easily it goes unnoticed. Ants operate below ground and at small scales, yet their cumulative impact rivals that of much larger animals. Ants demonstrate that ecological power does not require visibility. Through constant, repeated actions, they quietly engineer the environments that countless other species depend on. Ants can solve complex problems without understanding them. Ant colonies routinely solve problems that would challenge deliberate reasoning, such as finding the shortest path between locations, or efficiently allocating labor under changing conditions. Yet no ant understands the problem it is solving. Each individual follows simple rules based on local information. When searching for food, ants explore many paths at once. Successful routes become reinforced through repeated use, while inefficient ones fade away as fewer ants follow them. Over time, the colony converges on an effective solution without ever comparing alternatives consciously. This process allows ants to handle complexity through redundancy. Many ants make small, imperfect decisions simultaneously. The collective outcome is often efficient and resilient, even when conditions change suddenly. What makes this striking is that error is not eliminated, but absorbed. Mistakes are expected and corrected through repetition. The colony does not need insight or planning. It only needs persistence and feedback, and demonstrate that problem-solving does not require comprehension. solutions can emerge naturally from interaction, showing how intelligence can arise from systems that never know what they are accomplishing. Some ants have a built-in internal compass. Certain ants maintain a sense of direction even when external cues are limited or absent. This ability allows them to travel long distances from the nest and return directly without retracing their path. The mechanism relies on internal tracking rather than memory of landmarks. As an ant walks, it continuously measures distance and direction, integrating this information to maintain a running estimate of its position relative to the nest. This process is known as path integration. Even after complex winding journeys, the ant can calculate a straight route home. This internal compass functions alongside other navigational tools, but remains effective when trails are disrupted or erased. It allows ants to operate in environments where scent trails degrade quickly or visual cues are unreliable. The system is not perfect. Errors accumulate over long distances, but ants compensate by combining internal tracking with brief searches when close to home. What is remarkable is that such a small nervous system can perform continuous spatial calculation. Ants show that navigation does not require maps or memory, only constant updating of simple internal signals. Ants can remember routes longer than their own lifespan. While individual ants have limited lifespans, the routes a colony relies on can persist far longer. This is because navigation information is stored collectively rather than individually. Trails are reinforced through repeated use, allowing knowledge to outlast the ants that first discovered it. Chemical markers laid by foragers guide others to reliable resources. As long as food remains available, these routes are refreshed by new workers. Over time, the colony maintains stable pathways, even as generations of ants come and go. This creates a form of shared memory embedded in the environment. The colony retains information without needing long-lived individuals or centralized storage. When conditions change, unused routes fade, allowing the system to update itself automatically. What makes this powerful is continuity. The colony behaves as though it remembers experiences no individual ant ever lived through. Knowledge is preserved through action rather than recall. Ants demonstrate that memory does not need to reside in brains. By distributing information across behavior and environment, they create durable knowledge systems that persist beyond the lifespan of any single member. Ant colonies can regrow after near-total collapse. Ant colonies possess a remarkable capacity for recovery. Even after severe population loss caused by predation, environmental disaster, or disease, some colonies can rebuild themselves from a small remaining group. Surviving ants reorganize their priorities immediately. Non-essential activities are reduced, and ant shifts toward caring for the queen and remaining brood. As new workers emerge, labor gradually diversifies again, restoring normal function. Because roles are flexible and distributed, the colony does not depend on specific individuals. Tasks can be reassigned quickly, allowing recovery without retraining or instruction. This resilience is built into the system rather than added afterward. In some cases, colonies regrow to form a size within a relatively short period. The social structure remains intact even when numbers collapse. This ability highlights a key strength of decentralized systems. Colonies are not fragile organizations. They're designed to absorb loss and rebuild, making them highly resistant to long-term failure, even under repeated stress. Ants practice chemical warfare with specialized biological weapons. Many ant species defend themselves using chemical weapons produced within their bodies. These substances can repel, incapacitate, or kill attackers, and are often delivered through stings, sprays, or contact. Different species produce different compounds, each tailored to specific threats. Some chemicals cause intense irritation, while others interfere with nervous systems or disrupt communication in rival colonies. The effectiveness lies not just in toxicity, but in precision. These weapons are deployed strategically. Ants may release small amounts as warnings, or larger doses during active conflict. Some species coordinate chemical release to overwhelm enemies rapidly. What makes this especially effective is that chemical warfare integrates seamlessly with ant communication. Alarm signals and weapons often share similar compounds, allowing defense and coordination to happen simultaneously. Ant chemical weaponry demonstrates how biology can produce sophisticated defense systems without technology. Through evolution, ants have developed diverse and efficient chemical strategies that allow them to compete successfully in crowded and hostile environments. Some ants use the sun to measure time. Certain ants use the position of the sun not just for direction, but for timing their activities. By tracking the sun's movement across the sky, they adjust behavior according to time of day, even without internal clocks like those in mammals. This ability allows ants to compensate for the sun's changing position while navigating. As the sun moves, ants adjust their orientation to maintain accurate direction. This requires an internal sense of elapsed time to correct for the shift. This system is especially effective in environments where temperature and light shift quickly. Ants are able to coordinate their foraging during favorable conditions and withdraw when heat becomes unsafe. What makes this truly remarkable is the level of integration involved. They blend visual information with internal timing mechanisms, allowing them to maintain a reliable sense of direction and accuracy over many hours, even as conditions change. This occurs without conscious awareness or planning. Ants show that timekeeping does not require complex brains or mechanical clocks. By linking movement, light, and internal rhythms, they use the sun itself as a functional reference for both navigation and daily activity. Ants can detect earthquakes before humans do. There is evidence that some ants respond to subtle ground vibrations and changes in soil chemistry, but occur before earthquakes. These signals are often too faint for humans to notice, but can alter ant behavior noticeably. Before seismic events, ants may abandon nests, increase movement, or relocate brood to safer locations. These responses suggest sensitivity to environmental changes that precede ground shaking and spend much of their lives in direct contact with soil, making them well-positioned to detect minute disturbances. Vibrations, pressure changes, or gas emissions can all serve as cues. While ants cannot predict earthquakes in a conscious sense, their reactions may occur hours or even days in advance. This has led researchers to study ant behavior as a potential early indicator of seismic activity. The significance lies in perception rather than prediction. Ants demonstrate how organisms tuned to their environment can detect changes long before they become obvious. Their behavior reflects a level of environmental sensitivity that humans often lack. Certain ant species can clone themselves. Some ant species reproduce without traditional mating. In these colonies, queens can produce offspring genetically identical to themselves through a process known as clonal reproduction. This allows colonies to expand rapidly without requiring males. In certain systems, workers and queens may be produced through different reproductive methods, maintaining both genetic stability and functional diversity. This unusual arrangement allows precise control over colony composition. Clonal reproduction offers advantages in stable environments. Successful genetic combinations are preserved exactly, reducing the risks associated with variation. Colonies can grow quickly when conditions are favorable. However, this strategy also carries risks. Lack of genetic diversity can make colonies vulnerable to disease or environmental change. Some species balance this by mixing reproductive strategies. Ant cloning challenges assumptions about reproduction and adaptability. It shows that sexual reproduction is not the only successful path. In ants, evolution has produced flexible systems that adjust reproduction itself to meet ecological demands. Ants can cooperate with other species across kingdoms. Ants frequently form cooperative relationships with organisms that are not ants and not even animals. These partnerships can involve plants, fungi, or microbes, creating networks that cross biological kingdoms. Some plants provide ants with food or shelter in exchange for protection against herbivores. Ants patrol these plants aggressively, reducing damage and increasing plant survival. In return, ants gain reliable resources. Other partnerships involve microorganisms that help ants digest food or defend against disease. These microbes live on or inside ants, contributing essential functions ants cannot perform alone. Such cooperation allows ants to extend their capabilities beyond their own biology. By integrating other species into their survival strategies, they become more adaptable and resilient. These relationships are not accidental. They persist because all participants benefit over time. Ants demonstrate that cooperation is not limited by relatedness. When ecological interests align, collaboration can emerge even between organisms separated by vast evolutionary distance. Colonies adjust their architecture based on climate. Ant nests are not static structures. Colonies modify their architecture in response to temperature, humidity, and seasonal change. Tunnel depth, chamber size, and ventilation patterns all shift to maintain suitable internal conditions. In colder climates, nests may include deeper chambers that retain warmth. In hotter environments, ants construct ventilation shafts that release excess heat. Seasonal changes can trigger reconfiguration without rebuilding the entire nest. These adjustments occur gradually through normal activity rather than deliberate planning. As ants respond to local conditions, construction patterns shift, producing climate-appropriate designs over time. This flexibility allows colonies to survive in a wide range of environments. The same species may build very different nests depending on location. What stands out is responsiveness. AR architecture functions as a living system that adapts continuously without blueprints or foresight. Colonies create structures that buffer against environmental extremes, demonstrating how simple rules can generate sophisticated environmental control. Some ants use dead bodies as structural reinforcement. In certain ant species, dead nestmates are not removed simply as waste. Instead, they are incorporated into the physical structure of the nest. Bodies may be packed into weak points along tunnel walls or chamber edges, increasing stability and reducing collapse. This behavior is most common in environments where soil is loose or prone to erosion. By filling gaps with organic material, ants improve the integrity of their tunnels without transporting additional resources. The bodies compress easily and bind soil particles together, functioning as a natural reinforcement. The process does not involve recognition of death as an abstract concept.
Ants respond to chemical cues that indicate a body is no longer active. Once those cues are detected, the body becomes material rather than a colony member. What makes this remarkable is efficiency. Nothing is wasted. Even loss is repurposed into function.
Ant colonies treat all available matter, including their own remains, as potential infrastructure, reinforcing the idea that the colony operates as a system where individual value is entirely functional. Ants can learn from experience and teach others. Ants are capable of modifying their behavior based on past outcomes. When a foraging route proves successful, ants are more likely to reuse it. When it fails, they gradually abandon it. This learning occurs without memory in the human sense, but through changes in response strength. In some species, experienced ants actively guide others to resources. A knowledgeable ant may lead a nestmate to food, adjusting speed based on whether the follower is keeping up. This slows progress, but increases accuracy, allowing information to transfer directly between individuals. This form of teaching is rare among animals. It requires that one individual alters its behavior at a cost to itself to benefit another. In ants, this cost is time rather than energy, but the result is faster learning at the colony level. The effect compounds. As more ants learn effective routes, the colony becomes more efficient. Ant learning is not about intelligence or insight. It is about refining behavior through experience and passing that refinement forward, creating a system that improves with use. Ants can perform complex tasks with brains smaller than a grain of sand. An ant's brain contains only a tiny fraction of the neurons found in vertebrates. Yet, ants perform tasks that appear complex when viewed from the outside. They coordinate group movement, allocate labor, navigate long distances, and respond flexibly to change. This capability does not come from processing power, but from specialization. Ant brains are optimized for a narrow range of functions relevant to survival. They do not generalize or reflect. They respond quickly and reliably to specific inputs. Complexity arises when many ants work together. Each individual follows simple actions, yet their interactions give rise to remarkably sophisticated results. No single ant needs to grasp the larger goal for the system to succeed. This gently challenges our ideas about intelligence, reminding us that large brains are not the only path to effective, adaptive behavior. Ants demonstrate that efficiency, repetition, and coordination can substitute for cognitive depth by distributing complexity across many individuals rather than concentrating it in one brain. Ant colonies achieve results that appear intelligent without requiring intelligence in the way humans define PK it. Certain ants can survive being frozen solid. Some ant species endure winters where temperatures drop low enough to freeze body fluids. Rather than avoiding this entirely, these ants survive freezing by entering a controlled physiological state. As temperatures fall, their bodies produce compounds that limit ice formation within cells. This reduces damage to tissues during freezing. Metabolism slows dramatically, conserving energy while activity becomes impossible. During this period, ants appear lifeless. Movement stops, and vital processes operate at minimal levels. When temperatures rise, the ants thaw and gradually resume normal function. This adaptation allows ants to persist in environments where continuous activity would be fatal. Instead of migrating or maintaining warmth, they temporarily suspend life processes until conditions improve. What makes this especially notable is reliability. Freezing and revival occur repeatedly across seasons without cumulative damage,
and demonstrate that survival does not always mean resistance. Sometimes it means controlled surrender to environmental extremes, followed by recovery when conditions allow. Colonies have emergency response systems. Ant colonies respond to sudden threats with coordinated speed. When danger appears, such as nest damage or predator intrusion, ants rapidly shift behavior across the entire colony. Alarm signals spread through chemical cues, triggering specific responses. Some ants rush to defend, others evacuate brood, and some begin repairs immediately. Tasks are redistributed without instruction, allowing multiple responses to occur simultaneously. The system scales automatically. Small disturbances trigger localized responses, while major threats activate the entire colony. Once the danger passes, activity gradually returns to normal without confusion. What makes this effective is preparedness. Ants do not need to assess the situation consciously. Their responses are pre-configured through evolutionary pressure, allowing immediate action. This emergency capacity increases survival in unpredictable environments. Colonies that respond quickly suffer fewer losses and recover faster. Ants show that resilience depends not only on strength, but on the ability to reorganize instantly when normal operations are disrupted. Ants can distinguish individual faces within their colony. In some ant species, workers can recognize individual nestmates visually. This ability is rare among insects and allows ants to identify specific individuals rather than relying solely on chemical cues. Facial recognition is particularly useful in species with complex social interactions. Ants may need to track frequent partners or identify individuals with specific roles. Visual identification provides an additional layer of social awareness. This recognition does not imply emotional attachment. It serves functional purposes, such as coordination and task efficiency. Ants that recognize one another interact more smoothly and reduce conflict within the colony. The ability develops through exposure. Ants learn to associate visual patterns with familiar individuals over time. This suggests a level of perceptual learning previously thought uncommon in insects. What makes this significant is precision. With extremely limited neural resources, ants achieve individual recognition, demonstrating that even small brains can support sophisticated perceptual tasks when those tasks provide clear survival advantages. Some ant species practice ritualized duels. In certain species, conflict between colonies does not always escalate into full warfare. Instead, ants may engage in ritualized duels that determine dominance without widespread loss. These encounters involve specific individuals meeting at boundary zones. They perform structured displays or brief physical confrontations. Outcomes influence access to territory or resources without requiring mass combat. Ritualized conflict reduces risk. By limiting violence to controlled interactions, colonies avoid unnecessary casualties. This strategy is especially useful when both sides are evenly matched. The behavior is consistent and repeatable, suggesting strong evolutionary pressure favoring conflict resolution over destruction. Colonies that minimize loss maintain greater long-term stability. Armed dueling shows that aggression can be regulated. Even without reasoning or negotiation, ants follow patterns that reduce cost while still resolving competition. It is an example of how natural selection can favor restraint when unchecked conflict becomes too expensive. Ants can outsource work to other species. Some ants rely on other species to perform tasks they cannot or do not perform efficiently themselves. This outsourcing can involve insects, microbes, or even plants. In certain relationships, ants benefit from services such as cleaning, protection, or food processing provided by other organisms. In return, ants offer shelter, nutrients, or defense. These arrangements allow ants to expand their functional abilities without evolving new traits.
By incorporating external partners, they increase efficiency and adaptability. The partnerships are stable because benefits flow both ways. If the relationship stops providing value, it does not persist over time. Natural selection favors arrangements that improve survival for all involved. AR, outsourcing, demonstrates that biological systems do not need to be self-contained. Cooperation across species allows complex outcomes to emerge without additional internal complexity. Ants extend their capabilities by integrating others into their ecological network. Ants can navigate absolute darkness with precision. Some ants operate in environments with no light at all, such as deep underground tunnels. In these conditions, visual cues are useless. Yet ants move efficiently, locate resources, and locate home reliably. Navigation in darkness relies on touch, chemical cues, and internal movement tracking. Ants memorize sequences of turns and distances, allowing them to retrace paths without sight. Chemical markers also play a role, but ants can navigate even when these cues are minimal. This suggests reliance on internal spatial processing rather than external references alone. The precision of this navigation reduces wasted energy and prevents individuals from becoming lost. It allows colonies to exploit subterranean spaces safely. Ants demonstrate that vision is not essential for spatial awareness. By integrating sensory input from movement and contact, they construct functional internal representations of space, enabling reliable navigation in environments completely inaccessible to sight-dependent animals. Ant colonies can rebuild entire cities underground. When nests are destroyed by flooding, predators, or human activity, ant colonies often rebuild from scratch. This process can involve relocating millions of individuals and reconstructing complex tunnel systems. Rebuilding begins immediately. Ants clear debris, establish temporary shelters, and prioritize brood protection. As conditions stabilize, excavation resumes and permanent structures emerge. The new nest may differ from the old one. Ants adjust design based on current conditions rather than replicating previous layouts. This flexibility allows improvement rather than simple restoration. Because construction behavior is distributed, rebuilding does not require coordination or instruction. Each ant contributes small actions that accumulate into large-scale structure. What stands out is speed. Colonies can recreate functional cities in remarkably short periods. Ants show that large-scale reconstruction does not require planning committees or blueprints. It emerges naturally when simple behaviors align toward a shared outcome. Some ants use solar heat as a tool. Certain ant species actively use solar heat to regulate their daily activities and nest conditions. Rather than avoiding heat entirely, they exploit it in controlled ways. Ants may position brood chambers or surface mounds to capture warmth during cooler periods, accelerating development of larvae. In some environments, ants gently relocate their brood between different chambers throughout the day, following subtle changes in temperature as the sun moves across the sky. In this way, they achieve precise thermal regulation without generating heat from within. Their surface activity is timed with equal care. Ants emerge when the ground warms to just the right level and retreat again before the heat becomes harmful. By working in harmony with solar warmth, they increase efficiency while conserving energy, allowing simple behavior to achieve elegant balance.
Faster development shortens vulnerable stages of life, increasing survival rates. Energy that would otherwise be spent maintaining warmth is conserved.
What makes this notable is intentional placement through behavior rather than planning. Ants respond to temperature gradients instinctively, yet the result is functional thermal management. By treating sunlight as a usable resource, ants turn environmental variation into an advantage rather than a limitation. Ants can modify soil chemistry over entire landscapes. Through constant digging, waste disposal, and foraging, ants alter the chemical composition of soil across large areas. Their nests concentrate nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, creating localized zones of enriched soil. Organic waste, food remnants, and dead organisms accumulate in and around nests. As this material breaks down, it changes soil fertility and microbial composition. Plants growing near ant nests often show increased growth as a result. Over time, the combined effect of many colonies reshapes entire landscapes. Soil structure improves, water infiltration changes, and nutrient cycling accelerates. These changes influence plant communities and the animals that depend on them. What makes this significant is scale. Individual ants move tiny amounts of material, but colonies operate continuously for years. Their cumulative impact rivals that of much larger animals. Ants act as ecosystem engineers. Without awareness or intent, they modify soil chemistry in ways that shape plant distribution, productivity, and long-term ecological stability. Ants can coordinate without ever meeting. Ants frequently coordinate activities with individuals they have never encountered. This is possible because coordination relies on shared environmental signals rather than direct interaction. Chemical trails guide movement and task allocation. An ant responds to information left behind by others without knowing who produced it or when. This allows thousands of individuals to work together asynchronously. For example, food discovered by one ant can be exploited by many others who never meet the original forager. The environment stores the instruction, not the ants themselves. This system allows coordination across time as well as space. Tasks persist even as individuals come and go. The colony functions as a continuous entity, despite constant turnover. What makes this powerful is efficiency. Communication does not require pairing or synchronization. Ants simply respond to signals embedded in their surroundings. Ant coordination demonstrates that cooperation does not require relationships or recognition. Shared rules and persistent environmental cues are enough to produce organized collective behavior at large scale. Certain ants can detect disease inside their colony. Some ant species respond differently to nestmates that are infected or injured. Subtle changes in behavior or chemical profile can signal illness before visible symptoms appear. Healthy ants may groom infected individuals more frequently, removing pathogens from the body's surface. In more severe cases, sick ants may be isolated or avoided, reducing the spread of disease within the colony. These responses are not conscious decisions. Ants react automatically to changes in chemical cues associated with infection. The result is a form of disease management that improves overall colony survival. Colonies also adjust sanitation practices when disease risk rises. Waste removal increases and contact patterns shift
to reduce exposure. What makes this system effective is speed. Early detection limits outbreaks before they escalate. Ants demonstrate that disease control does not require diagnosis or intent. Simple responses to biological signals can create functional health management systems that protect large, densely populated societies. Ants use chemical maps that constantly rewrite themselves. Ants' navigation relies on chemical trails that function as dynamic maps. These trails are not fixed paths, but constantly updated information networks that reflect current conditions. When ants travel successfully between locations, they reinforce trails through repeated chemical deposition. If conditions change or resources disappear, trails fade as fewer ants use them. This automatic adjustment ensures that outdated information is removed without deliberate correction. Multiple trails can compete simultaneously. Stronger signals attract more ants, further reinforcing successful routes. Weaker ones decay naturally. The result is a continuously optimized navigation system. What makes this approach efficient is flexibility. Ants do not store maps internally. The environment holds the information, allowing real-time updates without memory or planning. Chemical maps allow colonies to respond quickly to change while avoiding long-term errors. Ants show that navigation systems can remain accurate not by preserving information, but by constantly erasing and rewriting it based on current success. Ant colonies can split themselves into independent nations. Some ant colonies reproduce by division rather than expansion. Instead of sending out lone queens, a mature colony may split into 2 or more independent groups, each capable of survival. During this process, workers, brood, and sometimes multiple queens separate and establish new nests nearby. Resources and labor are redistributed, allowing both groups to function immediately. This strategy reduces risk. New colonies do not start from a single, vulnerable individual. Instead, they inherit infrastructure and workforce from the original colony. Colony splitting allows rapid expansion into suitable environments. It also maintains social stability, since behavioral patterns and chemical identity remain consistent. What makes this fascinating is scale. Entire societies replicate themselves. Ant colonies behave less like families and more like self-reproducing entities. This method of expansion demonstrates that reproduction can occur at the group level. Ants show that selection can act on societies themselves, not just on individuals. Some ants can count using physical distance. Certain ants estimate quantity by measuring distance rather than number. When navigating, they use step counting or distance tracking to judge how far they have traveled. This allows ants to assess whether a journey matches previous successful routes. If the expected distance is exceeded, ants may initiate search behavior or adjust direction. Distance-based counting does not involve numbers as humans understand them. Instead, it relies on accumulated movement signals within the body. Each step contributes to an internal estimate. This ability improves efficiency. Ants can return directly to the nest or evaluate whether a resource lies within acceptable range. What makes this remarkable is abstraction without cognition. Ants translate physical movement into quantitative assessment without awareness of counting. They demonstrate that numerical estimation does not require mathematics or symbols. Simple biological mechanisms can support functional measurements sufficient for complex navigation tasks. Ants can create living storage systems. Some ants store food not in chambers, but in the bodies of other ants. In these species, certain workers act as living reservoirs, holding large amounts of liquid food within their abdomen. When resources are abundant, these ants are fed until their bodies swell dramatically. They then remain stationary within the nest, releasing stored food to others during scarcity. This system allows colonies to buffer against unpredictable food availability.
Storage adapts instantly to supply without requiring physical structures. The living reservoirs do not function independently. They respond to chemical cues, signaling need, sharing resources automatically. What makes this system efficient is flexibility. Storage capacity scales with colony size and demand. No construction or maintenance is required. Ants demonstrate that infrastructure can be biological rather than architectural. By turning bodies into storage units, colonies transform individuals into dynamic components of a larger survival system. Ant colonies can function without a queen temporarily. Although queens are central to reproduction, some ant colonies can continue functioning after queen loss. Workers maintain nest operations, defend territory, and care for existing brood even without new eggs being laid. During this period, colonies may attempt to produce replacement queens or merge with neighboring colonies. Task allocation and coordination remain stable, allowing survival until reproduction resumes. This flexibility reduces vulnerability. Colonies do not collapse immediately after losing leadership. Instead, they enter a transitional state. What enables this is decentralized organization. No task depends exclusively on the queen except egg-laying. All other functions are distributed among workers. The ability to persist without a queen highlights the resilience of ant societies. Stability does not rely on constant control, but on shared behavioral rules that continue operating even when critical components are missing. Ants have invented multiple forms of architecture. Across species, ants construct nests with radically different designs. Some build underground tunnel networks. Others create towering mounds, leaf shelters, or woven structures suspended in vegetation. These architectural forms reflect environmental demands. Nest shape responds to temperature, humidity, predation risk, and available materials. The same basic behaviors produce diverse outcomes under different conditions. Construction does not require planning. Ants modify structures incrementally based on local cues. Over time, these adjustments result in coherent architectural forms. What makes this impressive is diversity without design. Ants repeatedly arrive at effective solutions without copying or instruction. Their nests demonstrate that architecture can emerge from interaction rather than intention. Ants have independently invented multiple structural strategies for shelter and survival, showing that form follows function even without foresight or creativity in the human sense. Some ant species have soldiers with specialized weapons. In many ant species, defense is not just a behavior, it is a body plan. Some colonies produce a distinct soldier caste, whose anatomy is built for one job. Soldiers may have outsized jaws for gripping and crushing, heads shaped like shields or mandibles designed to block nest entrances. In a few species, a soldier can physically plug a tunnel with its head, creating a living door that is difficult for intruders to bypass. This specialization changes how colonies defend themselves. Instead of relying on sheer numbers or constant vigilance, the colony invests in individuals whose presence alters the odds of an attack. Soldiers often patrol key routes, guard vulnerable chambers, and respond first to breaches. Because they are expensive to produce, colonies deploy them where they matter most. The striking part is that weaponry in ants is biological engineering. Evolution has turned the same basic insect body into different defensive tools, and colonies function as if they are stocked with purpose-built equipment rather than just workers. Ants can control the growth of plants. Some ants influence plants so directly that the plant's shape and growth pattern change. The best known examples involve plants that provide ants with shelter or food, and ants that protect the plant in return. Over time, this cooperation can become so consistent that the plant develops structures that function like housing, such as hollow thorns or specialized chambers. Ants move in, patrol the plant, and remove or attack herbivores that would otherwise damage it. The plant benefits from reduced leaf loss and increased survival. The ants benefit from a reliable base and predictable resources. The result is not just a relationship, but a pressure that shapes plant evolution. In these systems, ants effectively become part of the plant's defense strategy, influencing which individuals survive long enough to reproduce. What makes this fascinating is the direction of influence. Ants do not need to chew a plant or poison it to shape it. Their presence changes the costs and benefits of certain plant traits, guiding growth over generations. Ant colonies can absorb entirely new members. Ant societies can be surprisingly flexible about who belongs, especially under specific conditions. In some species, workers from separate nests can be absorbed into a new social unit, especially after disruption, when colonies merge, or during periods of internal reorganization. This is not an act of friendliness, but a practical outcome shaped by survival. Whether integration occurs depends on chemical identity and compatibility, allowing the colony to reorganize itself in ways that preserve function rather than sentiment. New members may be gradually exposed to the colony's scent profile through contact, grooming, and shared nesting material. Over time, the newcomer's surface chemistry can shift enough to reduce conflict, allowing it to participate in normal tasks. This ability matters because it provides a shortcut to rebuilding. A colony can increase workforce size without waiting for new workers to develop. It can also stabilize when the queen is lost or when environmental pressure makes independence risky. What makes this remarkable is that ant societies appear rigid, yet some can redraw membership boundaries when circumstances demand it. Belonging can be renegotiated through chemistry rather than ancestry. Ants can measure time without clocks. Ants coordinate their lives around time, even without any external timekeeping device. Many species show daily rhythms that remain stable across changing conditions. Foraging intensity rises and falls at predictable times. Nest activity shifts between day and night patterns. These rhythms persist because ants have internal biological timing systems that regulate behavior. This internal timing helps colonies avoid danger and exploit opportunity. If food is available only at certain times, ants can align effort to match it. If heat becomes lethal at midday, activity can concentrate in cooler windows without needing real-time sensing of long-term trends. Timing also helps coordinate social tasks, such as brood care cycles and shifts in nest maintenance activity. What makes this compelling is that timekeeping in ants is not awareness of time passing. It is a built-in pattern generator that syncs colony behavior to the environment. Ants show that you do not need a concept of time to use time effectively. Stable internal rhythms can act as a biological schedule, allowing a society to operate with consistency and efficiency across every day. Certain ants can detect carbon dioxide leaks. Inside an ant nest, carbon dioxide can build up quickly if airflow is poor.
Many ants are extremely sensitive to carbon dioxide concentration because it directly signals whether a space is safe for breathing and brood development. This sensitivity allows ants to respond to ventilation problems rapidly.
When carbon dioxide levels rise in the chamber or tunnel, ants may stop using that passage, open new routes, or increase excavation to improve airflow. They can also relocate brood to better ventilated areas. In practice, this means ants are constantly monitoring gas conditions without measuring instruments, adjusting nest use based on chemical cues in the air. This ability is especially important underground, where air exchange is limited and where changes in moisture or collapse can trap gases. It also helps explain why ant nests often include ventilation features that seem engineered even though no ant is designing them. The colony simply responds to conditions that become uncomfortable or dangerous. What makes this fascinating is that gas detection becomes a form of environmental intelligence. Ants treat carbon dioxide as information, using it to protect a crowded society living below the surface. Ants can transport objects many times their own weight. Ant strength is often described with dramatic comparisons, but the deeper point is mechanical advantage. An ant's muscles are arranged in a body built for lifting relative to its size, and its exoskeleton provides rigid leverage points. Because small bodies weigh less, their muscles can exert forces that look enormous compared to their own mass. This strength becomes meaningful at the colony level. Ants do not just lift, they coordinate transport. If an object is too heavy for one ant, multiple workers adjust grip positions and move as a unit. They can rotate an object, drag it over uneven ground, and navigate tight spaces with surprisingly stable control. This coordination reduces energy waste and prevents losses during transport. The evolutionary payoff is efficiency. Strong, coordinated transport allows ants to exploit food items that other small animals cannot move. It also helps colonies rapidly relocate brood or resources during disruption. What makes ant carrying truly compelling is that it combines physics with organization. Strength matters, but teamwork turns strength into consistent, repeatable results. Ant colonies can adapt to human cities. Human cities create environments that look hostile to many wild animals, but ants often treat them as new ecosystems. Pavement changes temperature patterns. Buildings create stable shelters, and food waste produces reliable resource streams. Some ant species adjust their behavior quickly to exploit these conditions. Urban ants may shift foraging times to avoid heat from sun-warmed surfaces. They may nest in walls, sidewalks, or electrical boxes where temperature and moisture stay relatively stable. Some populations show altered movement patterns that reflect human-made barriers and predictable routes. They also learn to use cracks, pipes, and structural edges as travel corridors. This adaptability matters because cities are constantly changing. Construction disrupts nests. Cleaning removes trails. New food sources appear and vanish. Ants succeed by treating instability as normal and by rebuilding quickly. What makes this fascinating is that cities unintentionally mimic the patchy, resource-rich landscapes ants evolve to exploit, but at a different scale and speed. Ants are not just surviving around humans. In many places, they are evolving into urban specialists. Ants can communicate alarm without panic. When ants detect danger, they can trigger rapid defensive responses while avoiding chaotic overreaction. Alarm communication often uses specific chemical signals that spread quickly, but the response is graded. A small threat can activate local defense, while a large threat can mobilize many workers.
This scaling matters because unnecessary full-scale mobilization costs energy and increases risk. If every disturbance triggered maximum response, colonies would waste time and reduce long-term efficiency.
Instead, art alarm systems can encode urgency through concentration, duration, and location of the signal. Workers close to the source may attack or investigate, while those farther away may shift to protective tasks, such as moving brood deeper or tightening entrance defense. The result looks disciplined. The colony responds fast, but it does not collapse into random motion. This is not calmness as an emotion. It is control as a system property. What makes this compelling is that ant societies demonstrate a principle that many complex systems struggle with. Effective defense requires rapid communication, but also restraint. Ants achieve both through signals that naturally scale response intensity to the true level of risk. Some ants use sound humans cannot hear. Ants are often treated as silent, but some species produce and detect vibrations as a communication channel. Instead of airborne sound, they use substrate vibrations transmitted through soil, wood, or plant material. These signals can be generated by stridulation, rubbing body parts together, or by tapping movements that create patterned vibrations. Vibrational communication works well in dense environments where chemical signals diffuse slowly or where visibility is low. Signals can travel through the nest structure, allowing rapid warning or coordination without requiring direct contact. In certain contexts, vibrations can recruit help, trigger defensive behavior, or coordinate movement in confined spaces. What makes this particularly interesting is that it adds another layer to ant communication beyond chemistry. It also suggests that ants inhabit a sensory world humans rarely notice, where the ground carries messages like a quiet network. These signals are not music or language, but they are information. Ants show that communication does not have to be loud to be effective. In the right medium, even tiny vibrations can organize complex social behavior. Ants can survive in nearly every environment on Earth. Ants are among the most widespread and ecologically successful animals because their societies are adaptable and modular. A colony can gently regulate the microclimate within its nest, redistribute labor as needed, and adjust foraging strategies when conditions shift. This quiet flexibility allows ants to thrive in environments ranging from deserts and rainforests to high mountain regions, as long as their basic needs are met. Each species meets its challenges in its own way, shaping solutions that reflect the unique constraints of its world. Some tolerate extreme heat by timing activity carefully and minimizing water loss. Others persist in cold regions by surviving long dormant periods and resuming activity when conditions allow. Many thrive in wet environments by nesting in raised structures or relocating quickly when water levels change. The key is that the unit of survival is often the colony, not the individual. Colonies can buffer stress through sheer numbers and cooperative behavior. If some workers die, others continue. If a nest is lost, rebuilding can begin. What makes this remarkable is how ants turn social structure into a survival technology. They do not need to be individually tough in every environment. Their system absorbs extremes, allowing ants as a group to occupy a vast range of habitats across the planet. Ant colonies can reshape themselves daily. Ant colonies are not fixed organizations. Their internal structure changes continuously in response to conditions. Tasks shift hour by hour as food availability, temperature, and risk fluctuate. A worker that forages in the morning may be tending brood by afternoon or reinforcing nest walls by evening. This flexibility allows colonies to operate efficiently without schedules or assignments. Labor flows to where it is needed most. If food becomes abundant, more workers forage. If danger increases, defense intensifies. These changes occur automatically through local cues rather than oversight. Daily reshaping also applies to physical space. Ants open or closed tunnels, adjust chamber use, and redistribute brood based on temperature and humidity. The nest itself becomes a dynamic structure rather than a static building. What makes this remarkable is speed. Entire colonies can reorganize within hours without confusion or delay. Ant societies do not resist change. They are built to expect it. By reshaping themselves daily, colonies remain responsive, efficient, and resilient in environments that rarely stay the same. Ants can form alliances with predators. Some ants survive not by avoiding predators, but by cooperating with them. In certain ecosystems, ants form alliances with predatory species that provide protection or access to food in exchange for assistance. These alliances vary widely. Ants may help predators locate prey, clean parasites from their bodies, or defend shared territory from rivals. In return, ants gain food scraps, shelter, or protection from other threats. The relationship persists only if both sides benefit. Such cooperation requires behavioral compatibility rather than trust. Ants respond to repeated outcomes. If association with a predator increases survival, the behavior continues. If not, it fades. What makes this fascinating is the collapse of expected roles. Predator and prey categories become irrelevant. Survival depends on functional interaction rather than hierarchy. These alliances show that ants do not operate within rigid ecological rules. They exploit opportunity wherever it appears. By cooperating with predators instead of fleeing them, ants expand their ecological options and thrive in competitive environments that would otherwise overwhelm them. Some ants use sunlight to sterilize their homes. Certain ants reduce disease risk by exposing parts of their nest to sunlight. By moving brood or waste material into sunlit areas, they take advantage of heat and ultraviolet light, which suppress microbial growth. This behavior is especially common in species that nest near the surface or construct mounds. Ants may open chambers during warmer periods, allowing sunlight to penetrate. Brood is sometimes relocated temporarily to benefit from these conditions. The process is not deliberate sanitation. Ants respond to temperature and light levels that incidentally reduce pathogens. Over time, behaviors that reduce disease are reinforced because colonies that practice them survive more reliably. Sunlight-based sterilization complements other hygiene behaviors such as grooming and waste removal. Together, they reduce infection in dense living conditions where disease could spread rapidly. What makes this strategy elegant is simplicity. Ants do not need chemicals or complex responses. They use a naturally available environmental force to maintain colony health, turning light itself into a passive protective tool. Ants can regulate traffic without collisions. Ant trails often carry heavy two-way traffic, yet collisions and congestion are rare. This efficiency emerges from simple behavioral rules that govern movement rather than centralized control. Ants tend to keep to one side of a trail, forming lanes that separate outgoing and returning traffic. When congestion increases, ants adjust speed or briefly pause to prevent blockage. Priority is often given to ants carrying food, ensuring steady resource flow.
Chemical cues help regulate spacing. Ants sense crowding through contact frequency and adjust behavior automatically. When traffic becomes inefficient, alternative routes may emerge as ants explore and reinforce new paths. What makes this system impressive is scalability. It works for small groups and massive flows alike. No A&T monitors traffic patterns, yet gems resolve quickly. Ant traffic control demonstrates how complex logistics can arise from local interactions. By following simple movement rules, ants achieve flow regulation that rivals engineered systems, or without signals, signs, or planning. Ant colonies can survive the loss of entire generations. Ant colonies are resilient not because individuals endure, but because the system does. Entire cohorts of workers can be lost to predators, weather, or disease without collapsing the colony. This is possible because roles are not tied to individuals. Younger ants can accelerate role transitions when needed, filling gaps left by losses. Remaining workers redistribute labor automatically, prioritizing survival tasks. The queen continues reproduction, allowing population recovery over time. As new workers emerge, the colony gradually returns to full capacity.
The social structure persists even when population drops dramatically. What makes this striking is continuity without memory. The colony does not remember previous states. It simply resumes function using the same rules that always governed behavior. Ant colonies demonstrate that long-term survival does not require protecting every generation. By building systems that tolerate loss and recover through reproduction and flexibility, ants ensure persistence even when entire segments of the population disappear. Ants can learn new behaviors from observation. Some ants modify their behavior after watching others succeed. By observing the actions of nestmates, ants can adopt new routes, techniques, or responses without direct trial and error. This observational learning speeds adaptation instead of each ant independently testing possibilities. Successful behavior spreads through the colony. This reduces risk and improves efficiency, especially in unfamiliar environments. The learning does not involve imitation in a human sense. Ants respond to cues such as movement patterns or outcomes, rather than copying intent. Still, the effect is transmission of useful behavior. This capacity allows colonies to adjust quickly when conditions change. New food sources, obstacles, or threats can be integrated into existing behavior patterns without long delays. What makes this compelling is that learning occurs without teaching or instruction. Ants simply attend to what works. Observation becomes a shortcut to adaptation, showing that even small brains can support social learning when the environment rewards attention to success. Some ant species have multiple queens with shared power. Not all ant colonies are ruled by a single queen. In some species, multiple queens coexist within the same colony, sharing reproductive responsibility. This arrangement changes colony dynamics. With several queens producing offspring, population growth can be rapid. That diversity increases, improving resilience to disease and environmental change. Shared queenship also reduces risk. If one queen dies, others continue reproduction without disruption. Colonies remain stable rather than entering crisis. Managing multiple queens requires tolerance. Ants regulate aggression through chemical cues, allowing cooperation instead of conflict. Queens coexist as long as their presence benefits the colony.
What makes this system interesting is flexibility. Mimicry is not universal among ants. Social organization adapts to ecological context. By allowing shared power, some ant species trade centralized control for stability and growth. It shows that even within ants, there are multiple successful ways to structure leadership and reproduction. Ants can create climate-controlled nests. Ant nests maintain stable internal conditions even when external environments fluctuate dramatically.
Temperature and humidity inside nests often remain within narrow ranges ideal for brood development. This control emerges through architecture and behavior. Ants subtly adjust the depth of their tunnels, the placement of chambers, and the size of ventilation openings to guide airflow through the nest. Brood is carefully moved from one chamber to another to keep conditions just right. These changes happen continuously, without planning or fixed goals. Ants respond simply to local discomfort, yet together, their actions create steady and reliable climate control. As conditions outside shift, the use of the nest adapts automatically, maintaining balance through quiet responsiveness. What makes this impressive is that ants achieve environmental regulation without generating heat or cold. They rely entirely on structure, movement, and placement. ART, climate control, demonstrates how physical design and behavior can substitute for internal regulation. By shaping space rather than physiology, ants create livable conditions that support dense populations in environments that would otherwise be unstable. Ant colonies can detect intruders instantly. Ant nests are monitored constantly without guards standing watch. Intruder detection happens the moment an unfamiliar organism enters the colony's chemical space. Ants sample chemical cues through antennae during routine movement. If a scent does not match the colony profile, aggression can be immediate. This allows rapid response without alarms or identification checks. Detection is distributed. Every ant functions as a sensor. The more ants present, the faster intrusion is noticed. There is no delay caused by reporting or verification. This system works even in darkness and crowded conditions. Chemical detection does not rely on visibility or sound. It functions continuously as ants move through the nest. What makes this effective is redundancy. No single ant is responsible for security, yet security is constant. Ant colonies demonstrate that surveillance does not require observation. By embedding detection into everyday interaction, they maintain defense without interruption or oversight. Ants can build structures that last for decades. Some ant nests persist for many years, even decades, despite constant use and environmental stress. These structures remain functional through gradual maintenance rather than complete rebuilding. Ants reinforce tunnels, repair damage, and adjust layouts as conditions change. Weak areas are strengthened over time, improving durability. The nest evolves rather than deteriorates. Longevity is supported by distributed labor. Maintenance is continuous and automatic. Small repairs prevent large failures, allowing structures to persist without collapse. These long-lasting nests support multiple generations of ants. While individual workers come and go, the structure remains a stable anchor for colony life. What makes this remarkable is persistence without permanence. Ants do not build monuments. They maintain systems through constant attention. By favoring repair over replacement, ant colonies create living structures that endure far beyond the lifespan of any single builder.
Some ants can shut down their metabolism in extreme conditions, such as prolonged drought or food scarcity. Some ants survive by drastically reducing their metabolic activity. Instead of continuing normal behavior, these ants enter a state where movement slows, digestion pauses, and energy use drops to a minimum. This shutdown is not sleep and not death. It is a controlled physiological response that allows ants to endure periods when activity would be fatal. By lowering metabolic demand, ants conserve stored energy and water until conditions improve. Colonies often coordinate this response indirectly.
When food intake drops and environmental cues shift, activity throughout the nest decreases. Non-essential tasks stop first, followed by broader inactivity. What makes this strategy effective is reversibility. When resources return, ants resume normal function without long recovery periods. The colony effectively waits out hardship rather than confronting it. Ant metabolic shutdown shows that survival is not always about endurance through action. Sometimes, persistence depends on knowing when to pause, allowing life to continue later rather than burning resources in an unwinnable moment. Ants can use geometry without knowing it. Ants routinely solve spatial problems that require geometric efficiency, even though they have no awareness of shapes or angles. When foraging, ants often converge on paths that minimize travel distance while avoiding obstacles. This happens through repeated exploration. Ants test many routes simultaneously. Paths that are shorter or easier are reinforced through use, while inefficient routes fade. The result is a network of paths that approximates optimal geometry. In nest construction, ants also produce shapes that distribute pressure evenly and maximize stability. Chamber spacing and tunnel branching often resemble efficient geometric patterns, even though no ant understands structure as a concept. What makes this compelling is that geometry emerges from behavior, not calculation. Ants do not measure angles or distances intentionally. They respond to resistance, success, and repetition. Ant colonies demonstrate that efficient spatial solutions do not require mathematical thought. By following simple rules repeatedly, ants generate structures and pathways that mirror geometric optimization without ever knowing geometry exists. Ant colonies can self-repair damage automatically. When an ant nest is damaged, repair begins immediately, without signals or coordination. Ants encountering collapse or breach instinctively respond by clearing debris, reinforcing weak areas, and redirecting traffic. Each ant reacts to local conditions. If soil gives way, excavation and packing increase. If airflow changes, tunnel use shifts. These responses overlap, producing a rapid, collective repair. The process does not require assessment of damage size. Small disruptions trigger local repair. Larger disruptions attract more ants as cues spread. Repair scales naturally to the problem. What makes this system robust is redundancy. Many ants attempt repairs simultaneously. Even inefficient efforts contribute material or stabilization over time. Structure improves rather than worsens. Ant self-repair mirrors biological healing more than construction. There is no restoration target, only response to stress. The nest stabilizes because ants continually counteract damage wherever it appears. This allows colonies to survive repeated disturbances without catastrophic failure. Ants can communicate location without coordinates. When a food source is discovered, ants communicate where it is through chemical trails that encode direction and distance implicitly. The trail itself becomes the instruction. Strength indicates value. Length reflects distance. Direction is embedded in the path. Other arts do not need to know where they are globally. They simply follow gradients. As conditions change, the information updates automatically. If food disappears, fewer ants travel the route and the signal fades. No correction is required. This system avoids abstraction entirely. Ants do not reference points or store positions. Location exists only as a behavioral pathway. What makes this powerful is reliability. The environment holds the information rather than the individual. Ants demonstrate that spatial communication does not require representation. By embedding location into physical traces, colonies coordinate movement accurately without ever knowing where anything is in an absolute sense. Some ants can store food inside living bodies. Beyond permanent storage specialists, many ants temporarily store food inside their own bodies during transport and sharing. Liquid food is held in an internal crop, often called a social stomach, which functions as a mobile reservoir. An ant that encounters food may fill this storage organ and return to the nest, where the contents are shared directly with others. This allows food to move efficiently through the colony without centralized storage. Unlike specialized storage ants, these individuals resume normal activity once food is transferred. Storage is brief and dynamic, scaling with need rather than capacity. This system improves flexibility. Food can be redistributed rapidly to brood workers or defenders without delay. It also reduces loss, since food remains inside living carriers rather than exposed. What makes this system elegant is circulation. Food flows continuously through bodies rather than remaining static. Ant colonies treat nourishment as something to be moved, shared, and rebalanced constantly, keeping the entire society supplied through living networks rather than stockpiles. Ant colonies can change behavior seasonally. Ant colonies adjust their collective behavior across seasons without learning or memory. Activity levels, foraging patterns, and nest use shift predictably as environmental conditions change. In warmer periods, colonies may expand foraging range and increase reproduction. In colder or drier seasons, activity contracts and energy conservation becomes dominant. Brood care, defense, and construction are all re-weighted. These changes are triggered by temperature, light, and resource availability, rather than calendars. Each ant responds to immediate conditions, but the colony shifts as a whole. Seasonal adjustment improves survival by aligning effort with opportunity. Colonies avoid wasting energy when success is unlikely and intensify work when conditions are favorable. What makes this impressive is coordination without awareness. Ants do not anticipate seasons. They respond to signals that happen to align with seasonal cycles over time. This produces reliable annual rhythms that allow colonies to thrive across predictable environmental changes. Ants can identify outsiders disguised as friends. Some intruders attempt to infiltrate ant colonies by mimicking chemical signatures. Despite this, ants can often detect subtle inconsistencies that reveal outsiders. Chemical identity is complex. It includes ratios of compounds rather than a single scent. Even skilled mimics may fail to match the full profile accurately, triggering suspicion or aggression. Ants increase inspection when cues are ambiguous. Prolonged contact allows additional sampling, improving detection. This layered verification reduces successful infiltration. The ability to detect disguised intruders is critical in environments where parasitic species exploit social systems. Colonies that tolerate too much deception collapse. What makes this fascinating is sensitivity.
ants operate in a world of fine chemical detail. Identity is not binary, but probabilistic, assessed continuously. AR societies demonstrate that security does not require absolute certainty. By responding to small inconsistencies and escalating inspection gradually, ants protect their systems against deception without halting normal social function. Certain ants can navigate across featureless terrain. Some ants forage in environments with no stable landmarks, such as salt flats or barren plains. In these places, visual reference points are absent and chemical trails degrade quickly.
To navigate, ants rely on internal movement tracking combined with directional cues that remain reliable despite environmental simplicity. They integrate distance traveled with directional consistency, allowing direct return even after complex outward paths. When error accumulates, ants perform structured search patterns rather than random wandering. These searches increase the likelihood of locating the nest efficiently. This strategy allows ants to operate in environments that appear impossible to traverse safely. They do not require remembered landmarks or persistent trails. What makes this impressive is robustness. Ant navigation does not depend on any single cue. When one source fails, others compensate. Ants show that navigation can succeed even when the environment offers almost nothing to reference. Internal consistency, not external detail, becomes the foundation of reliable movement. Ants can coordinate millions of actions without confusion. Large ant colonies carry out millions of individual actions every day without congestion or conflict. Foraging, brood care, defense, and construction proceed simultaneously without centralized control. Coordination emerges through local rules. Ants adjust behavior based on contact rate, chemical cues, and task demand. When demand increases, more ants participate. When it decreases, effort fades. There is nooling or assignment. Tasks regulate themselves through participation. Overcrowding naturally reduces efficiency, pushing ants toward other activities. What makes this system stable is feedback. Success reinforces behavior. Failure reduces it. The colony constantly fine-tunes itself without instruction. And coordination demonstrates that order does not require planning. By allowing behavior to scale naturally and continuously, ant societies avoid confusion even at immense scale. Complexity remains manageable because it is never controlled from a single point.
Some ant species have spread far beyond their original homes, establishing colonies across entire continents. This wide reach is not driven by dominance alone, but by adaptability. Ant colonies learn to tolerate varied climates, make use of new resources, and recover quickly after disruption. Through this quiet resilience, they extend their presence across the world, reshaping landscapes not through force, but through persistence and flexibility. Their social structure allows rapid establishment when introduced to new environments. In some cases, human activity accelerates spread by transporting ants unintentionally. Once established, colonies integrate into local ecosystems or disrupt them depending on context. What makes this expansion remarkable is consistency. Ants succeed not through specialization to one environment, but through flexibility across many. Ant colonies behave like biological networks capable of scaling globally.
Their success illustrates how cooperative systems can spread widely when they combine resilience, adaptability, and efficient reproduction. Ants are not just local survivors. Some have become planetary occupants. Ants can respond to threats before they arrive.
Ant colonies often react to danger before it physically reaches them. This happens because ants are highly sensitive to subtle environmental changes that signal risk. Vibrations in the ground, shifts in airflow, or faint chemical traces left by approaching predators can all trigger early responses. When these cues appear, colonies may increase defense readiness, relocate brood deeper into the nest, or reduce surface activity. These actions occur without confirmation that a threat will arrive. The cost of false alarms is lower than the cost of being unprepared. This anticipatory behavior improves survival in unpredictable environments. Colonies that wait for direct contact suffer greater losses.
Those that respond early gain time to reorganize.
What makes this especially effective is decentralization. Any ART that detects early warning cues can initiate response through local signaling. The reaction spreads naturally without requiring assessment or agreement. Ants demonstrate that anticipation does not require prediction. By responding to weak signals associated with danger, colonies act ahead of events, showing how sensitivity and rapid coordination can substitute for foresight. Some ants use light as a signal. Although ants rely heavily on chemical communication, some species also respond directly to light as an information source. Changes in light intensity can signal exposure, danger, or changes in nest integrity. In surface nesting species, sudden light entering a tunnel may indicate collapse or intrusion. Ants respond immediately by sealing openings or relocating brood. Light becomes an alarm rather than a visual image.
Some ants also use light gradients to guide daily activity. Movement patterns shift based on brightness levels, helping ants avoid heat or predation. Light cues integrate with temperature and humidity to regulate behavior. What makes this interesting is that light functions as a trigger rather than a scene. Ants do not interpret visual detail. They respond to presence or absence, increase or decrease. This use of light expands the sensory toolkit ants rely on. It shows that communication does not always involve signals sent by others. Sometimes the environment itself delivers information that ants are prepared to act on immediately. Ant colonies can collapse and re-emerge stronger. Severe disturbances can push armed colonies to the brink of collapse. Flooding, predation, or habitat destruction may reduce populations dramatically. Yet some colonies recover and emerge more resilient than before. After collapse, colonies shift priorities. Energy focuses on reproduction, rebuilding, and defense rather than expansion. Inefficient structures or behaviors are abandoned, and new patterns emerge as ants respond to altered conditions. This recovery phase acts as a filter. Colonies that survive eliminate vulnerabilities exposed by disruption. The rebuilt society may be smaller at first, but better adapted to its environment. What makes this remarkable is improvement through loss. Collapse does not always weaken ant societies. It can refine them. Ant colonies show that resilience is not just about resistance to damage, but about capacity to reorganize afterward. By rebuilding under pressure, colonies can become stronger, more efficient systems than they were before the disturbance occurred. Ants can modify their own social structure. Ant societies are not locked into a single organization. Under certain conditions, colonies adjust how labor, reproduction, and cooperation are arranged. Changes may occur when resources fluctuate, population density shifts, or environmental stress increases. Colonies may alter worker roles, redistribute tasks, or tolerate different reproductive strategies temporarily.
These modifications are not planned. They emerge as ants respond to local cues and changing success rates of behaviors. Structures that work persist. Those that fail disappear. This flexibility allows colonies to remain functional across diverse conditions. Instead of rigid hierarchy, ants rely on adaptable social rules. What makes this fascinating is plasticity. Ants are often seen as fixed in behavior, yet their societies can reorganize themselves when pressure demands it. Ant colonies demonstrate that social structure can be dynamic without conscious control by allowing patterns to change based on outcome rather than design. Ants maintain stability through adaptability rather than rigidity. Some ants can detect magnetic fields.
There is evidence that certain ants use Earth's magnetic field as a navigational reference.
This ability provides directional information that remains stable when other cues are unreliable. Magnetic sensitivity helps ants maintain orientation during underground movement or overcast conditions where visual cues are absent. By referencing a consistent field, ants gain directional consistency over long distances. The mechanism likely involves magnetically sensitive particles within the body that respond to field changes. Ants do not perceive magnetism as humans perceive senses, but respond behaviorally to its presence. This sense complements other navigation systems rather than replacing them. When combined with movement tracking and environmental cues, magnetic reference improves accuracy. What makes this notable is redundancy. Ant navigation does not depend on one sense alone. When scent, sight, or light fail, magnetic information remains available.
Ants show that orientation can be built from physical properties of the planet itself, allowing reliable movement through environments that offer few other guides. Ant colonies can function across multiple nests. Some ant species do not limit their societies to a single nest. Instead, they operate as networks of interconnected nests spread across an area. These multi-nest systems allow colonies to distribute risk. If one nest is destroyed, others continue functioning. Resources, brood, and workers move between nests as needed. Coordination occurs through shared chemical identity and trail networks rather than centralized control. Each nest functions semi-independently while contributing to the larger colony. This arrangement improves resilience and expansion. Colonies can exploit resources over wider areas without overloading a single location. What makes this impressive is integration without unity. There is no headquarters, yet the colony behaves as a cohesive system. Ants demonstrate that societies do not need physical concentration to remain connected. By spreading across space while maintaining coordination, they create distributed networks that balance efficiency with survival. Ants can remember places they have never returned to. Ant colonies retain information about locations even when individual ants do not revisit them. This occurs because spatial knowledge is embedded in persistent trails and behavior patterns. A location once valuable may continue influencing movement long after the original discoverers are gone. New workers follow established paths without knowing their origin. If conditions change, routes fade as activity declines. The memory adjusts without recall. This allows colonies to behave as if they remember places that no living ant has experienced directly. Knowledge survives turnover. What makes this compelling is memory without minds. Ants do not store past events internally. Instead, memory exists in collective action and environment.
Ant colonies show that remembering does not require remembering. By externalizing information into behavior and space, it preserves useful knowledge across generations without awareness or intent. Ant colonies can control population growth internally,
Ant colonies regulate their population size based on conditions. When resources are abundant, reproduction increases. When resources are scarce, it slows. This control is achieved through adjustments in brood care, egg production, and development rates. Workers may alter how many larvae are fed or which develop into different roles. The queen responds to colony condition through chemical feedback rather than direct assessment. Reproductive output aligns with capacity automatically. This prevents overpopulation, which would strain resources and increase mortality. Colonies grow when growth is sustainable and stabilize when it is not.
What makes this effective is self-regulation. No external limiter is required. Ants demonstrate that population control can emerge from local interactions rather than planning. By tying reproduction to resource flow, colonies maintain balance without oversight, ensuring long-term stability rather than short-term expansion. Ants can build emergency shelters overnight. When exposed to sudden danger or environmental change, ants can construct temporary shelters with remarkable speed. Workers gather soil, punk material, or debris to create protective structures within hours. These shelters may cover brood, seal damaged entrances, or provide refuge during storms or temperature extremes. They are not permanent, but functional enough to stabilize conditions. Construction begins immediately as ants respond to exposure or discomfort. No signal initiates building. Each ant contributes based on local cues. Once danger passes, shelters may be dismantled or abandoned. Resources are reused or discarded as needed. What makes this impressive is responsiveness. Ants do not wait to rebuild ideal structures. They prioritize speed and sufficiency. Emergency shelters show how ant societies manage risk by acting quickly with available materials, buying time for recovery rather than aiming for perfection under pressure. Some ant species use living barriers for defense. In certain situations, ants form defensive barriers using their own bodies. Workers position themselves tightly together to block entrances or protect vulnerable areas. These living barriers slow or stop intruders without requiring combat. Ants adjust position continuously, reinforcing weak points as pressure increases. The strategy reduces injury by presenting a unified obstacle. Ants prevent deeper intrusion while minimizing exposure of brood. Once the threat passes, the barrier dissolves and normal activity resumes. What makes this strategy efficient is flexibility. Barriers appear only when needed and require no construction, and show that defense does not always involve attack. Sometimes protection is achieved through presence alone. By using bodies as temporary walls, colonies create adaptable defenses that respond instantly to threat without permanent alteration of their environment. Armed colonies can redirect entire food networks. A colony does not just remove food from an ecosystem. It can change which species get to eat at all. When ants become the dominant consumer in an area, they reshape competition. They can suppress some insects through constant predation, while indirectly boosting others by removing their rivals. They can also concentrate pressure on particular plants by protecting sap feeders that drain those plants, which shifts plant health and changes what other herbivores can tolerate living there. Ants also influence scavenging by rapidly claiming dead insects and other edible remains. They reduce what is available to spiders, beetles, and microbes. That single shift can ripple outward, because fewer scavengers changes what press on scavengers. The result is not one dramatic moment. It is a steady redirection of who gains energy, who loses it, and who is forced to move elsewhere. What makes this fascinating is that the colony behaves like an ecological valve. Its daily decisions about where to concentrate effort
can quietly root an entire local food web without ever looking like a top predator. Ants can solve mazes collectively. Place one ant in a maze and you mostly get exploration. Place many ants in the same maze and you get a process that looks like problem solving. Workers spread out, testing options in parallel. R's that lead nowhere begin to empty, not because an ant labels them wrong, but because ants that reach dead ends naturally turn back, and fewer ants repeat that route.
Meanwhile, routes that happen to connect to a reward get reinforced by traffic alone. More ants return that way, which increases encounters, which increases the chance that additional ants will be drawn into the same corridor. The maze is gradually simplified by use. The colony narrows uncertainty into a single, reliable corridor. Even though no ant can see the layout, what makes this compelling is that the solution is stored in motion, not memory. A colony does not need to understand the maze it faces. It only needs enough individuals to explore, enough feedback to release unworkable paths, and enough patience for one efficient route to quietly emerge as the natural choice. Ant colonies can even shift leadership without conflict. When we hear the word queen, we often imagine command and control. Yet in most ant species, the queen's role is not to manage daily life, but to sustain the colony through reproduction, while organization and decision-making arise organically from the collective itself. And that changes what succession looks like. If a colony loses its reproductive center, workers do not stop functioning. Instead, they shift into recovery mode, using built-in rules that control what happens next. In species that can replace a queen, workers begin to favor certain developing young by changing how they feed and protect them. That difference in care can produce new queens rather than workers. In other species, colonies resolve the crisis by joining with a nearby colony, folding their workforce into a functioning reproductive system, rather than attempting a risky restart alone. What prevents civil war is that the colony's stability is enforced by worker behavior. Reproduction is regulated, and individuals that break the rules are suppressed. The fascinating part is the calm continuity. Economy can change who produces the next generation while keeping foraging, defense, and brood care running. Leadership changes, but the society does not need a reset. Ants can adapt their behavior to new threats. Ants face hazards that did not exist in their evolutionary past. From new predators to human-made barriers and poisons, colonies often respond faster than you would expect, not by changing bodies, but by changing habits. If a route becomes dangerous, ants reduce traffic there. If a food source causes losses, recruitment drops and alternative sources become more attractive. Risky times of day are avoided, and safer windows become the new routine. Some of this adjustment comes from individual experience. A worker that survives a bad outcome is less likely to repeat it. But the larger shift happens because thousands of workers are sampling options at once. The colony effectively tests multiple strategies in parallel, and the strategies that cause fewer losses become more common simply because those workers remain available to keep doing them. What makes this fascinating is the speed of collective reprogramming. A colony can rewrite its practical rules within a short span of time, creating an adaptive response without planning, debate, or instruction. Some ants have biological armor. Many ants are not protected by hiding alone. They carry armor as a physical property of their bodies. The outer cuticle can be thickened, hardened, and shaped into defensive geometry, making it harder to pierce, crush, or grip. In some species, the surface becomes sculpted with ridges, bumps, and spines that interfere with predator mouthparts. In others, the head is shaped like a shield
that can block narrow entrances, turning the ant itself into a barricade. This protection is often concentrated where it matters most.
Defensive specialists can have disproportionately reinforced body parts, while foragers remain lighter and faster. The colony invests in protection where the risk is highest. What makes this especially interesting is that the armor is not a single design. It is a set of solutions tuned to local threats, a predator that bites, a rival that stings, and a parasite that grabs. All select for different defenses. Ant armor is a record of evolutionary pressure written into material, a reminder that survival is sometimes engineered directly into structure. Ant colonies can survive long periods without food. A colony can endure famine by doing something that looks almost financial. It reduces spending. When food disappears, foraging effort drops to limit losses. Activity becomes quieter. Development slows, which lowers demand. Workers shift toward protecting what already exists rather than trying to expand. The most important change is in brood investment. Colonies can adjust how much they feed developing young, which controls how quickly new ants appear and how many resources are consumed. In hard times, fewer resources are committed to growth that cannot be supported. Instead, maintenance becomes the priority, keeping the reproductive core and essential workers alive long enough to reach better conditions. Food sharing inside the nest also matters because it spreads risk. If one ant returns with a small gain, that gain is distributed, preventing single points of failure. What makes this fascinating is that starvation survival is not just endurance in a box. It is coordinated reduction of demand across a living system, allowing a society to wait out scarcity rather than collapse under it. Ants can navigate using the Milky Way. On the darkest nights, the sky becomes more than scenery. For some nocturnal ants, it becomes guidance. When ground cues are weak, and the world offers few stable reference points, these ants can orient using broad patterns of brightness overhead. The Milky Way, seen as a wide band across the sky, provides a consistent structure that can anchor direction when individual stars are hard to use. Ants do not need to recognize constellations. What matters is detecting a reliable pattern and keeping it aligned during movement. By maintaining a stable relationship between their travel direction and that luminous band, ants can avoid drifting off course during long foraging trips. This is especially useful in open habitats where the terrain can look the same in every direction. In that setting, sky patterns become the most dependable reference available. What makes this fascinating is the mismatch in scale. A tiny insect walking on grains of sand can use information written across the galaxy to maintain orientation. It turns the night sky into a practical tool. Ant colonies can integrate multiple species. Some ant societies form long-term living arrangements with other ant species, creating shared systems that are neither simple cooperation nor simple conflict. Two species may occupy the same nesting structure or maintain adjacent nests with constant interaction, tolerating one another in ways that would normally trigger aggression. This can happen when both species gain a benefit that is difficult to achieve alone. One species may provide strong defense, while the other excels at finding food in a particular niche. In other cases, shared nesting increases stability, allowing both to persist in environments where space is limited or threats are constant. The relationship can be carefully partitioned, with each species using different areas of the nest or focusing on different tasks, reducing direct competition. What makes this fascinating is the negotiation without negotiation. No treaty is signed. Tolerance persists only as long as the balance holds. These arrangements reveal that ant social boundaries are not always absolute. Under the right pressures, ants can form multi-city systems that function like blended societies, expanding what a colony can be. Ants can engineer their environment for future generations. A colony's most powerful effects are often the ones no individual ant will ever benefit from. Over long periods, ant activity can reshape the local environment in ways that persist and become inherited conditions. Soil moved during excavation changes drainage. Materials deposited near nest sites create nutrient hotspots. Seed movement changes which plants establish nearby, altering shade, moisture, and food availability for years to come. These changes accumulate because ant work is constant. Small daily actions become long-term landscape modification when repeated across seasons. Future workers are born into the altered environment and treated as normal. Even though it was created by ancestors they never met. What makes this fascinating is that this is inheritance without genes. The colony passes on a modified world. Natural selection favors societies that accidentally build conditions that improve survival, even if no one intends it. Ants show that engineering does not require planning. It can be an emergent byproduct of persistence, where the environment becomes a living archive of past colony activity and the platform for future success. Ant colonies can outlive the landscapes they inhabit. A nest can be destroyed quickly. A colony can persist anyway. The long-lived unit is not the tunnel system. It is the society that can relocate, rebuild, and continue. When environments change through floods, fires, droughts, or human disturbance, colonies often respond by shifting brood and resources to safer locations, establishing new nest sites, and resuming normal burr. Operations with surprising speed. This persistence is possible because ant societies are portable. Workers carry the next generation. Knowledge is embedded in repeated behavior rather than held by specific individuals. If one site becomes unsuitable, the colony can detach from it and re-enter elsewhere over long spans. This means a colony lineage can remain present in an area even as the surface conditions transform. The colony does not need the landscape to stay stable. It needs only enough flexibility to keep functioning as stability disappears. What makes this fascinating is the idea of continuity without permanence. Ant colonies can outlast the places they inhabit by treating places replaceable while keeping the social system intact. Ants can influence the evolution of other species. In many environments, ants are not just another animal to live alongside. They become a pressure that other species must adapt to or fail. Plants that grow where ants are abundant often experience this first. Individuals that suffer less damage because ants interfere with herbivores tend to survive longer and produce more offspring. Over generations, plant traits that encourage ant presence become more common, not because the plant intended, but because those individuals last. The same pressure affects insects sharing the space. Species that accidentally provoke ants are removed from the population more often than those that avoid them. Small shifts in behavior, timing, or chemistry can decide whether an insect persists or disappears. This process does not require ants to target a species deliberately. Their constant activity is enough. By being reliable and everywhere, ants quietly shape which traits succeed around them.
Evolution in these cases is not driven by dramatic events, but by daily contact with a social insect that rarely leaves the scene. Ant colonies can synchronize without communication.
Large ant colonies sometimes shift behavior almost simultaneously, even when individuals are not exchanging obvious signals. Foraging levels drop. Internal activity rises. Brood is moved to an observer. It can look coordinated, yet no instruction is being passed along. This happens because many ants are tuned to the same environmental conditions. When temperature, humidity, or airflow inside the nest changes beyond certain limits, the likelihood of specific behaviors increases for many individuals at once. Each ant is responding independently, but because the stimulus is shared, the response becomes collective. The effect is reliable, even when contact between ants is limited. Coordination does not collapse if traffic is disrupted. It does not rely on perfect information flow. It emerges because the colony exists inside a single physical system. This kind of synchronization challenges the idea that communication is always required for coordination. Sometimes shared sensitivity is enough. The colony moves together not because it decided to, but because the world changed in a way that pushed thousands of individuals in the same direction at the same time. Ants can build cities invisible from the surface. Some of the most complex ant nests leave almost nothing to see above ground. No mound announces their presence. No constant stream of workers gives them away. Beneath the surface, however, there can be a network of chambers and corridors shaped to manage moisture, temperature, and traffic. This design offers protection. Predators and environmental disturbances often target visible structures first. When a nest is concealed, damage to the surface does not necessarily reach the core. Entrances can be closed and reopened elsewhere. The functional center remains intact. These underground systems are not temporary shelters. Many persist for years, adjusted continuously as conditions change. Soil removed from one area may be used to reinforce another. Airflow patterns emerge from tunnel shape rather than mechanical planning. What makes this remarkable is not just the engineering, but the invisibility. Entire societies can operate beneath ground that appears untouched. Once you know this, empty-looking land becomes harder to trust. The absence of visible structure does not mean the absence of organization, only that it exists where attention rarely lingers. Ants can rebuild memory after disruption. When trails are erased or nests are damaged, ant colonies lose more than physical structure. They lose guidance about where effort has paid off before. Yet this loss does not leave them disoriented for long. After disruption, activity patterns shift, exploration increases. Workers test space again, moving outward and sampling possibilities. Gradually, successful routes draw more traffic, unproductive ones thin out. Without storing any record of the past layout, the colony reconstructs a functional map by repeating the same filtering process that created it originally. The key is that memory does not reside in individual ants. It exists in the pattern of movement and reinforcement. When the pattern disappears, the ability to generate a new one remains. This makes ant societies resilient in a specific way. Damage does not wipe out competence. It triggers rebuilding behavior. The colony's strength lies in the method, not the map. Given time and movement, useful structure reappears, often better aligned with the new conditions than the old one ever was. Some ants have built-in chemical sensors. Ant antennae are not simple feelers. They are densely packed sensory organs capable of detecting and distinguishing complex chemical signatures in the environment. These signals guide decisions instantly,
without learning or deliberation. One important function is hygiene.
When an ant dies, changes in its surface chemistry trigger immediate removal by nestmates. The body is carried away from living areas before decay becomes a health risk. No assessment is needed. The chemical change alone is enough to flip behavior.
Other chemical signals help ants assess food quality, sense danger, and recognize nestmates with remarkable accuracy. Differences so subtle that humans would need instruments to detect them are enough to shift an ant's behavior. This refined sensitivity transforms the environment into a living field of information. The nest, the ground beneath their feet, and even other ants are constantly sending quiet signals, data flowing everywhere, guiding each movement with calm precision. Ant societies operate by reading this invisible layer and responding without hesitation. It is not vague sensing. It is continuous interpretation, performed at a scale and speed that makes coordination possible without discussion.
Ant colonies can adapt faster than evolution alone. Genetic evolution works across generations, but ant colonies can adjust their capabilities within a single generation by changing how individuals develop. In many species, the fate of young ants is influenced by the care they receive. Nutrition, handling, and internal signals can alter growth pathways, producing workers with different sizes or strengths. When a colony faces increased conflict, it can bias development toward individuals better suited for defense. When food processing becomes limiting, production can shift toward workers optimized for foraging or transport. No genes are changed. Output is this adjustment is driven by feedback. Changes in workload and resource flow influence how larvae are treated, and those small differences accumulate into a different workforce composition. The result is a form of rapid adaptation that bridges sudden environmental challenges. Evolution still shapes what is possible in the long term. Colonies, however, can respond immediately by reshaping who they produce next. The future workforce is not fixed. It is responsive, assembled in real time to meet current demands. Ants can coordinate rescue missions. In some ant species, a trapped individual can trigger a focused response. When an ant is restrained by debris or attacked without being killed, nearby nestmates may attempt to free it. They dig around the obstruction, pull at limbs, and remove material that limits movement. This behavior is selective. Ants are far more likely to respond to cues associated with a nestmate than to the struggles of prey. That selectivity prevents wasted effort and concentrates help where it can preserve colony investment. From the colony's perspective, rescue has a cost, but so does replacement. A worker that returns to activity continues contributing without delay. Losing it means waiting for development to produce another. What stands out is the coordination.
Several ants can work the same problem, simultaneously adjusting their actions as conditions change. There is no leader directing effort. The behavior emerges from shared cues and local responses, producing something that looks planned even though it is not. In moments like these, the colony treats a preventable loss as a problem worth immediate attention. Ant colonies can detect structural weakness. Underground nests exist in a material that constantly shifts. Soil absorbs water, dries, settles, and moves. Ant colonies remain functional in these conditions by responding early to instability. As workers move through tunnels, they encounter changes in resistance and airflow. Areas that feel less stable draw increased activity. More material is added. Traffic patterns shift away from vulnerable sections. Excavation redirects pressure elsewhere. These adjustments happen before a collapse becomes obvious.
No ant surveys the entire structure. Each responds to local discomfort. When many ants experience the same issue,
repair effort concentrates naturally. Weakness attracts work. This distributed detection allows nests to persist in environments that would defeat rigid structures. Maintenance is continuous and preventative rather than reactive. The colony does not wait for failure to begin repair. It responds to the earliest signals that something is off, keeping the system intact through thousands of small corrections that rarely draw attention from above. Ants can maintain order without authority. Ant societies function with remarkable stability despite having no leaders assigning tasks. Order emerges from local rules rather than command. When work is needed, cues draw participation. When too many ants crowd into one task, efficiency drops and individuals drift elsewhere. Reproduction is also regulated without rulers.
In species where workers can lay eggs, colonies often remove worker-laid eggs, keeping reproduction focused where it benefits the group most. Enforcement comes from collective response to chemical cues, not from punishment issued by an authority figure. This system prevents collapse by making destabilizing behavior unprofitable. Ants that ignore cues do not gain an advantage. The structure of interaction pushes behavior back toward balance. What makes this effective is that it scales. Thousands or millions of individuals can remain coordinated without centralized control. Stability is not imposed from above. It arises from repeated local interactions that align individual behavior with colony survival. Again and again, without supervision. Ants may be the most successful animals in Earth's history. Success can be measured in many ways, but by persistence, spread, and influence, ants are difficult to rival. They occupy most land environments where complex ecosystems exist and play central roles in soil movement, seed dispersal, and insect population control. Their advantage is not individual strength, it is the colony as a unit. Colonies absorb loss, redirect labor, and rebuild quickly after disturbance. They exploit resources too small or scattered for larger animals to use efficiently, turning minor gains into stable systems through cooperation. Ant lineages have persisted through major environmental changes that eliminated many dominant groups. Social organization has allowed them to remain flexible while maintaining continuity across time. This reframes what dominance looks like in nature. The most successful animals may not be the ones that command attention individually. They may be the ones that function best together. Ants do not conquer loudly. They endure, adapt, and shape the world quietly everywhere for a very long time. As we come to the end of our quiet journey together, you might notice how different the world of ants feels now. What once seemed small and ordinary has unfolded into something layered, ancient, and quietly powerful. We've wandered through societies that build without blueprints, adapt without instruction, and persist through time by working together in ways that are both simple and astonishing. All of it happening just beneath our feet every day, whether we notice or not. Now, there's nothing left to analyze or remember. The ideas can soften and drift like footprints fading from sand. Let the movement slow, that the details blur. Ants will keep doing what they've always done, building, adjusting, enduring, long after this moment has passed. And you don't need to follow them any further tonight. If you enjoy these gentle journeys into science and the quiet wonder hidden in the world around us, you're always welcome to like the video, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps this calm corner of the internet reach others who might need it too. And if you happen to still be awake,
There's another video waiting on your screen, ready to guide you a little further into rest. But for now, allow your breathing to deepen. Let your body grow heavy. Let the day loosen its grip. There's nowhere else to be and nothing else to do. Sleep well, and good night.